Hey, what's up? As many of you probably know, or you should know, you know, Halloween's right around the corner. So instead of doing almost a typical top 10 scary movies list, as we would probably do, which we'll probably maybe do at a later date, I wanted to do a top whatever of some of my favorite horror movie franchises, namely Halloween, Friday the 13th, and, as you can tell by the title of this video, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, I want to include all the movies in these franchises, so I'm not strictly doing a top 10. That's why this one, as you see, is top 9 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So, yeah, let's jump right into it. So, for those of you who don't know, Nightmare on Elm Street is a series where the first movie was originally created by Wes Craven. And it's about Freddy Krueger, who's a serial killer who has somehow gained the powers to kill people in their dreams. And I think that's really cool. So, let's start off with my number 9. Number 9, I have Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child. So, in my opinion, yes, this is the worst of the movies. It's the flair of the Nightmare on Elm Street series isn't even there. I was having a difficult time trying to pick between putting this one as last and the final Nightmare, Freddy's Dead, because they both. But at least Freddy's Dead is kind of funny. It's funny at times. This one's not really that funny. This is also. If you know any of these series, Halloween kind of follows basically two characters throughout most of its existence. And like I said, most of its existence. Friday the 13th kind of has a new batch of heroes every single time it comes up. Whereas A Nightmare on Elm Street kind of is a mix. They kind of introduce new ones, and then they'll use them for a little bit, and then they'll introduce somebody else. And this one they had Alice, and I thought Alice as a character worked really, really well in the fourth movie. But in this movie, I don't know. It's too over the top, but it's not funny over the top, like I said in part 6. So, I don't know. And I can't really talk about this one really way too much because, again, this is my least favorite of all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. So, let's move on to number 8. Number 8, I have The New Nightmare, Wes Craven's The New Nightmare. This was Wes Craven's attempt at remedying the situation of what had started to happen with Nightmare on Elm Street, kind of becoming less more about serial killing and more about what fantastical things they can do in a dream world. So, and this movie, it works, and there's a lot of homages to the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I like the whole, hey, it's a real world thing to it, but it's almost a little too meta. I don't know. It's so weird how the lines between a movie and, and how they try to blur the lines between the movie and the real life. It's just kind of awkward at times, and I don't know. I've only ever watched I've seen every other Friday. God, I'm gonna do that the entire video. I've watched almost every Nightmare on Elm Street movie, usually at least twice. I've never watched this one more than once. This is the one that I have the least amount of experience because it was just so weird. I have no desire to see this one again. I do think as a movie it is better than the fifth one, but I don't know. I usually attempt to give the fifth one another shot, whereas this one I haven't yet. I mean, I'm not going to say it'll never happen, but... Alright. Number 7, I have Freddy's Dead, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6. This one again, it's just comical. This was one of the first ones I saw. I think the first one I saw was the first one. And then when I was trying to get into this stuff, I saw this one. And the only reason is, some of the deaths are just comical. I know, getting the guy, he's a psychedelic high, and putting him in the dream world, and then killing him in a video game, that's kind of cool, but it's again, it's over the top, and it's kind of humorous at the same time. Killing, John Doe falling like, that, again, it's a little bit too comical, and it's like not, it goes away from what, A Nightmare on Elm Street goes for. Now, they return to ideas from the original, which is, hey, you have to pull them out of the dream world, and then they blow them up, and I'm like, I know you want to kind of end the franchise, but it's like, I don't know. It's, some things about this movie work, other things don't. Giving Freddy a daughter was interesting, and explaining that there was these magical, the dream people, and I'm like, they gave me this job. I'm like, that's just, that demystifies the lore too much. I really don't like it too much when the lore is completely demystified for these movies. Now, if it's sometimes is, that's okay, but as you're going to hear from a lot of my lists, usually when the lore gets demystified is when a movie goes down, in my opinion. So where are we on? Number 9, 8, 7, 6. Number 6, I have A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. And this one, this is where they start to become, this is like the mid-ground of Nightmare on Elm Street movies. This one is it kind of sucks, but then I kind of like it a little bit, because it's different. Freddy's trying to take over somebody's body, Jesse, I remember his name because I've seen this one a couple times, so that he can go out into the real world. And, I'm okay with that, but it's just, again, you can't take Freddy out of the dream world unless you're going to kill him. Like, you got to keep him in there. And so, and this is kind of, this movie, this is kind of a, and not to be an ass and sound like a bigot or anything, but this is kind of a gay movie. Jesse's always having his shirt off, there's the whipping, the gym teacher in the shower, but it's like, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know, this movie is kind of weird, but it could be okay. So that's that. Okay. Number 5, I have Freddy vs. Jason. This is more of a Jason movie than it is a Friday the 13th movie than it is a Nightmare on Elm Street. But the reason I have it higher than a lot of the other ones is because they hit everything right. After, 5, 6, and 7, they get even though Freddy doesn't technically like slash and kill, I'm not sure anyone in this movie, they get the allure right, where he's, what's the word I'm looking for? He's, terrorizing people, where he is using his dream powers, he's using it for fear, and not just to be funny, he's not a stand-up comic in this movie. It works. Some of the scenes that Freddy is in is genuinely scary. It makes sense, and so, because it's not really a Freddy movie, that's what I want to talk about. There's a lot of allusions to old ones. There's Freddy leaning in on the wall, like in the first movie. There is, How Sweet Dark Meat is a reference to the fourth movie. Like this one, it works. As a Freddy movie, it's okay. Alright. And so now we're getting into the best, in my opinion, of the series. So number 4, I have A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. This one, I think, works really, really well. This one is where the cheese factor starts to go up, but Freddy's still, scary. I think maybe because, again, they showed the balls of this series because they kill off Tina from the third movie, and I thought that was just an interesting yet cool choice because I liked her as a character, and they introduced Alice, and then, it's, I can't really understand why. Like, again, this is where it gets a little bit hokey with some of the stuff, with some of the going into things like turning the one chick into a bug and crushing her, and then making the one girl have an asthma attack by sucking her dry face to face, like. But then, like, killing the survivors of the last movie, all those parts are really, really cool. The boiler room and the beach scenes were really cool. Like, it all makes, they make it work. Like, again, like I was saying with Part 5, they building off characters that they already had, they made this one work. And they also introduced new characters, so that's why I really like Part 4. Alright, so now, number 3, I have A Nightmare on Elm Street. Not the original, the remake. The remake is really good. I think that why am I blank? Give me a second. I want to look this up. The guy who they get to play Freddy, which once I find it, I'll tell you here. But I think the thing that they do really really good with this movie is mixing the fantastical with the science. I like the whole, the concepts of it during when they kill, forget the guy's name, the one girl's boyfriend in a way. He's like, after the body dies, the brain continues to function for 7 minutes, and he's like, yeah, that means we have 6 more minutes to play, and it's like, oh, that's evil. Like, that's just awesome. Like, that part to me was just really, really, really cool. Because, that's just, again, that's just an awesome little evil tidbit for them to throw in. And then, the other part was the whole micro naps thing. How you can go to sleep while you're awake. You'll just kind of, what's the word? You'll just fall asleep while you're awake. And so I thought that sequence in the pharmacy or the like CVS or whatever it was really cool. Like they did really cool things like that with this movie. Let me see, who do they have play Freddy? Jackie Earle Haley, that's who it is. Alright, yeah. He does a phenomenal job being Freddy. Taking away the comic aspect and just making him terrifying again. I also like how they kind of made Freddy a little bit more of like, I don't know, they made him a child molester, which I think made him seem a lot more evil as a character. So just killing kids, that just makes him sound like a sociopath. Now it's like, now he's really messed up. So, yeah, so that's why I think that's the third best. Alright, so now, again, number 2 and number 1 were so close that I honestly almost think that I'm mixing this up just out of sheer principle. But number 2, I have Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. This, honestly, out of all of them, is my personal favorite. This is one I think is really good. They bring back Nancy as a character, and I like just... This is where it's... And again, this is where some parts of the series start to get kind of hokey with how they were doing some of the sequences, but I think they made the characters so well that it doesn't work, that it makes sense. Like they have the one guy who likes to sleepwalk, so Freddy turns him into a puppet and walks him off the edge of the thing. They have the girl who used to be a junkie, who, again, he kills her by doing that. There's the guy who's bound to a wheelchair, and since he can stand up in his dreams, they use that against him. And then, did he kill off anybody else before that? And then there's just, I don't know if they kill off anybody else before that. But, like, the introduction of Freddy and the use of Nancy's old house is really cool. And then, probably I think one of the most surprising moves is when they kill off Nancy, which I thought was really cool. And just the references to the first movie were really cool. They had Nancy's father, the sheriff. They go to the junkyard. They have to bury Freddy. Like, I just think this movie worked really, really well. And the allure of having it take place in like in a loony bin almost, or a mental hospital, I think works because it shows the effects that some of these kids have from seeing him, and then also this is a little bit of messing with the lore that I think makes it more interesting, which is saying that when Freddy kills you, he takes your soul, and that's what he's after. He wants souls, and so I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. That makes a lot of sense. And then these are the last of the Elm Street children, and so he kills them, and then he's probably hoping maybe that Tina can be used to bring new people in, fresh meat, so I think this movie works out really well. And then number 1, best Nightmare on Elm Street movie ever, is the first one. The first one is so iconic. Freddy stalking his victim. This is the one instance where I could see maybe the killer walking like they do in slasher movies making sense. And again, this is just the movie. This movie has some of the most iconic scenes ever, of any horror franchise ever. The first girl. Oh, what's her name? Oh, the first girl who dies. You see that Freddy's like chopping at her, and you think Freddy's in the bed with her, and her boyfriend pulls the covers back, and it's just her, you know, scrambling, and then you see her get drug on the walls. Like, that's like so iconic in horror anymore. Freddy's hand coming up in the bathtub. Johnny Depp's character getting sucked into his bed and then just having blood just spew out from a hole in the middle of the bed. Like, those are just iconic scenes. Like this is the reason why this series is so interesting to me, because even with Friday the 13th and Halloween, they kind of almost get repetitive sometimes, whereas this movie doesn't. This movie works really, really well. So, yeah. I think it's just set in stone that A Nightmare on Elm Street is great, and I really shouldn't. I don't have to explain it too much. The characters, casting is great. Again, the minimal use of effects that they use throughout the movie are great. I just think it works really, really well. So, yeah. That's my top 9 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So, yeah. You guys could tune in, because this is going to go up Wednesday, which means today is my birthday. The next one's coming out tomorrow, which will be Friday the 13th, and then on Halloween, Halloween's going to come out. So, yep, see you guys then.